But today I want to talk about being rooted in kindness and love. You know, it's been very challenging for me to live in this world. And part of the reason why I feel like it's challenging at times is because one of the things that I had to really learn about myself is that I'm really a person rooted in kindness and love. And, it actually has been of benefit to me. And the reason why I say it's been of benefit to me is because it helped me really take a deep dive into why did I feel so uncomfortable in the world. And, I had to really kind of do a deep dive and a soul search. And my healing journey brought me to a space of understanding. There's one thing to be nice, but I'm not talking about nice. I'm talking about rooted kindness and love. And it's actually been until I healed and learned and I grew that I began to understand that kindness and love is actually a superpower. And not everybody possesses that. And I took a deep dive into understanding why kindness and love. You know, when you are a kind person and you come in love, when a person's central nervous system is not regulated and this is so foreign to them, they actually are used to chaotic environments. It's foreign to them when someone's kind to them and when somebody wants to love them. Imagine you grew up, you didn't know your dad, you didn't know your mom, or you may have known both of them, but they didn't really like love you. Like they didn't really um, come home from school and get a big hug, or sit down and find out about your day, or, took the extra effort to make sure that when you came home, you had things that you absolutely enjoyed. And, when you sit in solitude and silence and sit quietly by yourself, you begin to reflect on your life and the things that have occurred for you. And then you want to know, like, why is it that I come from a space of kindness and love, and so many people are just mean and angry and always like, ugh, with their energy. And guess what I discovered? It's because so many people do not have a healthy relationship with kindness and love. They just never learned about it. They don't know what to do with it. They mistaken, all their situations in life, and that's the reason why they're the way they are. And their opinion is the only opinion. But I'm here to tell you that a lot of what I talk about is rooted in neuroscience. I don't just talk off the top of my head. Like, I'm too deep for that. I really sit and study and understand why we feel the things that we feel and get to the roots of the situation. So if you're somebody who, and we're all different. And I believe that that is the issue in the world, is that we want everyone to be like us. And we don't have the ability to understand that we may all be different. And then kind of lean in on our differences, because there's a lot to learn from our differences, right? It doesn't make us right or wrong, but it does make us more empathetic, compassionate, and have, overall kindness and love and empathy for another. It doesn't mean that I can't identify or understand what you're going through. I may not be able to identify because it may not be something that is real for me, but I can sit and listen and and listen for and listen to seek understanding. I don't think we spend a lot of enough time seeking understanding of the things that we don't really understand. And so one of the things that I believe people do not understand and do not have a healthy relationship with is kindness and love. Because kindness and love will open doors for you and take you places that being rough and ornery and, just kind of mean 'Cause I feel like I have encountered a lot of mean people in my day. And not because I did anything. Oftentimes, you can just walk in a room and, you can feel the energy of the people in the room by the way you look, the way you speak, the way you act. They don't even know you, and they already have an interpretation or impression of you, and then they project their own insecurities and feelings on you. I know we've all experienced that. But we're being rooted in kindness and love, that kinda takes the forefront, and I've been in situations with people, you have brought them the best thing that's ever happened to them in their life. They told you that your presence was so amazing, and yet and still, they disregarded it, they discredited it, they were mean and just honoring, and they didn't even know that they were doing that. Because so much dysfunction has occurred in rooted in childhood that a lot of people did not pay attention to. I wanna kinda talk a little bit about where this could have started because I did a deep dive into my childhood, and this helped me understand why kindness and love are so important to me because it was the common thread of the tapestry of my life. If you were to meet anyone, my mom is now deceased, but if you were to meet anyone that would have known my mother, they would have told you that there was kindness and love. She's been gone a long time, but her legacy is still present and it operates through me, but it also is present in the people that she touched their lives. Kindness and love is her legacy. And so when I think about that and I look out in the world and I look at the battle between men and women and specifically black men and black women, I really want you guys to take a moment to think about your childhood. Did you learn kindness and love? Did you I'm just going to give you a couple of things that I could pull from my own childhood just to share with you, not to judge you, because everybody has a different perspective and everybody comes from a different walk of life, right? And a different situations in their home. But did you come home and your mom made your favorite meal? Or she greeted you or picked you up from school because she just wanted to spend time with you? Did she surprise you with little things? I'm not talking about things that you can buy, but things that she extended from her generosity, kindness, and love to you. Some of the things I know that I came home to was like cinnamon buns being made or our favorite cookies because my mom was off during the week a lot of times and she would just make stuff that she knew that we would love when we got home. She would say, hey, I've been sewing since I was a little girl. And so she would say, you know what? If you make your clothes, I will get you all the fabric you want to. So I was like one of the best dressed kids in school. Why? Because I made all my clothes. She didn't have the money to buy me the clothes that I wanted. But she said, if you're willing to put the effort in and I'll teach you, then you will know and you will be able to always make money. You always be able to look good and you always be able to make money and take care of yourself if you had to. And when I think about my childhood, I think about love, I think about kindness in spite of my mom having cancer from the time I was 7 years old, on and off throughout my childhood. And a child who didn't really have a childhood like everybody else could go outside and play. I had a lot of responsibilities, but yet and still woven into all of that was kindness and love. I knew if my mom would pass away early in my life, I was going to be loved, right? And so what I feel right now is missing, and it starts with ourselves, is the kindness for ourselves and the love for ourselves. And I don't mean it from a selfish perspective at all, because I am definitely a person that is all about partnership and union. And yes, I love men, right? Not multiple men, but I'm just saying the human man, I love men. And what I'm seeing out in the world breaks my heart because I know it's rooted in pain. I know it's probably rooted in your childhood. And if you go back there and heal that part of you, I've done that work, that you will find some peace, and they'll be rooted in there some kindness. Because every day that you wake up and you talk about decensoring men and all these other terms that people use that I never heard till I got on social media, those terms put energy out. They're energy. And whenever we put energy out in the world, we're going to get that energy back. Whatever we put out in the world, we get it back. We get it back in a couple of different forms. And one of the forms is to learn lessons, right? So whenever I have these experiences, and I've had a few, not a lot, because I was married 28 years to a man that I loved. He adored me. I loved him. We were in partnership, building life together, death do us part. I believe that I was fortunate. But I was fortunate because I started in my 20s working on myself so that I was someone that someone would want in their life to partner with. Not just my upbringing, because I had to also heal some things from my own upbringing. But especially as a child, the eldest child, growing up and being mature and having responsibilities of adults at a very young age, starting at 7, yeah, I had a lot to overcome in my 20s, but I identified that and I began to work on that because everything begins and ends with you. And that's really what I want women to begin to understand. Where you are and what you need to do to get on the other side of it, because it's showing up in your health. It's showing up in the first level of the pause called perimenopause. A lot of women are struggling because inside of them, their nervous system is in disarray. It's dysfunctioning. Why? Because you're hurt on the inside. Humans need each other. We were not born to be hyper independent and isolated from others. We just wasn't. It's not how we were born. We were not born to be in a silo by ourselves. I'm sorry. It is just that it perpetuates different things out in society that you believe that that's where you belong, but you're there oftentimes. I'm not saying everyone. You're there oftentimes because you're hurt and severely traumatized on the inside. And when we can begin as women, because that's all I'm ever talking to, right? I was born to serve women. When we as women begin to look inside and find out why are we not at peace? Because every time you have to say, I'm protecting my peace, peace doesn't need to protect it. If it's embodied within you, it's automatically going to show up. We don't have to stand guard at peace. We have to embody peace and then live from that space. We don't have to make announcements about peace. People will feel our peace long before we open our mouth. I'm a real peaceful kind of person. I don't like a lot of ruckus. Never have, not from childhood, what have you. I don't like a lot of ruckus. I like peace and harmony. As a matter of fact, what I really love to do is be silly, goofy, tell jokes, laugh, eat, have fun, and travel. And oh yeah, let's not forget, I love me some clothes, okay? And I love home decor. But at the core of my being, kindness and love feels so much better. It actually may feel boring to someone who's lived a life in chaos and fighting all the time. If you find that someone says something to you, right? Because I saw someone on social media and someone said something about being a single mom. That lady was triggered. She was ready to fight. Anytime somebody say something to you and you get triggered to fight, and you don't know them, they saying on social media, that is highlighting a part of you that needs some of your time and attention. That's what it is. That is. And anybody that knows me knows. My mentors will tell you, I spend a whole lot of time understanding me, healing me, loving me, understanding all the intricacies of me, why I'm here, what I'm to do, all of the things. And I love, you know what the best thing that I love is silence. Why? Because in silence, and so many people don't like silence, right? Silence, I can hear and connect with spirit and my ancestors. In silence, I can know how I'm feeling because I live life through my feelings. My nervous system is regulated. So that way I know and I understand how I navigate through life. I have an acute level of self awareness. And I introduced acute self awareness when I was teaching herbalism in a weekend. That's my trademark, my registered trademark herbalism program. I'm a master herbalist and I've been teaching herbalism for years now. It's the root of my being, right? I don't do a whole lot of doing. I do a lot of being. I don't hustle. That lifestyle, I did all that and it didn't serve me. And I can tell the women that are in their perimenopause and their menopause era, you know them 5 letters at the end called pause, Pause? That's giving you an indication of what you're really supposed to be doing. Because right now, if you are in one of those pauses, perimenopause or menopause, that time in your life is a time when your nervous system is going through an initiation. It's shedding the old, the bleeding woman, and stepping into the woman that no longer bleeds. And that's an initiation process. And most women don't talk about it. And so a lot of the issues that you're going through, I've been through it. I've been out of menopause for over 12 years. So I can tell you a lot about going through the health challenges. And what's really trying to happen is that your spirituality is trying to rise up. Your intuition is rising to a heightened level. And your body and spirit is trying to help you release that hectic life that you once had. And many of you did not take care of your bodies when you were going to college and getting the degrees and working the job and making the money and all the things. So now that your body, it's like a tug of war with your body. Your body is trying to slow down, but your nervous system and your mental capacity and your mind is trying to do what it's always done. So it's a tug of war. So at night you get hot flashes. Why? Because your liver is trying to regulate and your body and mind wants to do something else. So it has to get your attention. The hot flashes are rooted in your liver. I had hot flashes 3 times and I realized like, oh, go work on your liver. And they were gone. It's rooted in not just one thing, but it's rooted in a number of things that is actually a rites of passage. And most women don't see it as a rites of passage, so they treat it as solely a hormonal condition when that's only one little smidgen part of it. And then because your nervous system is going through a rites of passage and your entire body and your entire life is going through this rites of passage, you have no idea where to begin or end. Does this end? Does it begin? What am I being called to do? You don't have any clue because no one's told you about this process. There's a dominant force within the construction of those words called pause. And when you honor the pause and you start to lean in and create rituals around the pause, you know what gets to happen for you? You start to reflect. You start to remember who you are. The most powerful time in your life is after menopause because now the bleeding that you once shedded every month is now that power is being drawn back into you. And you get to utilize that power for amazing things bundled with the wisdom that you gained. And when you are a whole healed person, amazing things get to happen for you. I didn't understand why became a widow. I didn't understand why my entire family was in the cemetery. I didn't understand any of that. I just couldn't understand why I would be the only family member left outside of a brother that we have a very estranged relationship. But, and not to negate others, I do have some family that are inherited or family or cultivated family, right? I also have family who latch on to me as family, right? So, we're family, like I have a sister-in-law, she's my family, even though my brother and I are not connected, right? So I do have some key people out there in the world. However, I understand now why I'm here because I would not have stepped into the fullness of myself had my family been here. The deepest remembering of who I am, the total reinvention of me, or I shouldn't even say reinvention because I did not create anything new. All I did was heal the past and remember the root, right, of who I was, what I was destined to be, who I was destined to become. And I did that through astrology, cardiology first, which led me to astrology, and then numerology. Those are my 3 sacred tools. Like when we think about how we think in life, you think through English. And then when you learn Spanish, you start to think through Spanish, right? You think in Spanish. Like sometimes because I had spent time in Costa Rica and was immersed in Spanish, I sometimes, think in Spanish because there's some words that you say all the time that you just start to think that way. And so when it comes to, when I hear people speaking and I hear different things, I think in astrology. Like today, we have a new moon. And that means a lot. Like that's me setting my intentions today. That's me reflecting on, maybe a little bit about the past because I'm a person that really does work to live in the present. I don't really think about the past and I really don't think about the future because what I have learned is I miss so much when oh damn. Okay, I just had a call. Lost my train of thought. But I don't think about the past and I don't think about the future because, at the end of the day, um, you lose so much when you don't think about the present. I mean, when you're not present. And I really, truly want to stay present. I want to stay present because there's so much richness that I gain being present. And when we think about the past, we're thinking about something that's already happened. And unless we're reflecting on it to refine it, then it really doesn't serve us, right? And if we kind of focus on the future, it hasn't happened yet. And what I've learned is I live in possibility because I can't even imagine or fathom anything, right? I can't imagine or fathom anything when spirit and my ancestors are going to do more, right? Yes, I'm someone that, I was raised a Christian, raised a Catholic. I've mentioned this before. I'll mention it again. But I don't believe in organized religion. I just don't. It doesn't serve me. And so I say that often because I want people to, I want to be rooted in who I am. Just like people that are Christians are rooted in that, people that are other ethnicities are rooted. I want to be allowed to be rooted in what I believe and what has proven to work for me. But I found so many times that people try to push things down your throat. They want to force feed you their beliefs. And I don't want to be force fed anything. That doesn't feel good. And so I have chosen to speak out and speak up and say, no, I don't identify as a Christian. but I am a good person and I do live by a lot of the principles in the Bible. But just because I don't identify does not mean that I don't live in peace, kindness, and love, because those are foundations of who I am. And when I look out in the world, I don't always see kindness and love exhibited. I don't always see kindness and love root in the root of an individual. A lot of people have gotten hardened by society and the world and life and trauma and all the things. I choose not to wear my trauma. I choose, and it's a choice. Just like it's a choice to love someone, it's a choice. Kindness and love is a choice. We all have choices in each and every moment of our life. We can choose to be mean. We can choose to love. We can choose kindness. But here's where the word choice comes in. When you understand and have a high level of self trust and a regulated nervous system, then choosing kindness and love is your natural state of being. And that's not the case out here in the world. When you see people bickering back and forth and yelling and screaming and gotta prove their point and their egos are out and all the things, that's what they're rooted in. But when you take the time to really understand who you are, what you don't like, what are your principles, what do you stand on, then you don't have to prove anything to anybody, because you no longer in the performative state of life, and now you are in a state of presence. I don't perform for anyone. Been there, done that, got the trophy, the t-shirt. People pleasing, don't do that anymore, because I'm rooted in who I am. I'm not rigid in who I am, but I'm rooted in who I am. I love reciprocity and reciprocity in all relationships. I am not going to emotionally labor, and I'm not going to perform more than others. I'm just not. I let all those relationships go. Because the other thing that we get to do is we get to choose who we do life with. And I don't just mean in a partnership like a romantic partnership. I mean in every level of life. We get to choose. Do you understand that when I found out that I got to choose who's in my life with me? Oh my God. That was the most freeing. Like, I know we can hear these things, but when I internalized it and truly understood that I, Therese, had the opportunity and the wherewithal and the power, rooted in who I was, to choose my friends, my lovers, my whatever, my clients, my mentors, all the things, coaches. When I realized that I could choose, and some people were going to be upset and some people were going to love it, and both exist at the same time, and it was okay, because what I wasn't willing to do was self-betray. Because a lot of us betray ourselves, and I am not on a high. I'm not on a high horse. Like, I don't have time for this one, and I don't do all that. That's not my lifestyle. I just know how I want to feel inside my life, and then when you get really clear about how you want to feel inside your life, then you use that as a gauge. So I have like a feelings compass that I work with my clients on, and I've used it for decades. And this feeling is rooted in me being an empath, right? So when you're an empath, you feel lots of things, right? And so when I discovered that, then it all started to make sense. So the feeling I know how things should feel inside my body, because I took the time to really get to the root of my nervous system. And now I have a regulated nervous system. So I'm clear about, I can love you, but don't like you. I can love you and let you go, because it's not good. my existence for everybody to be in my space. But what I do, how I gauge that is calm and feeling calm and peaceful in your presence. Not always, but on a consistent basis that I feel calm and I feel free and I feel peace in your presence. And I hope that that other person feels the same way for me. But because I know that I carry that peace, a lot of people are drawn to my energy, but I'm not here to emotionally labor with people. I'm not here to carry the relationship. I'm not here for any of that. I'm here for reciprocal relationships. Reciprocal relationships are they're not plentiful these days, y'all. They're not plentiful. I have a friend that I've been friends with for 40 years. We never had an argument. We may have disagreed here and there, but we always have a center, as he would say, a centerpiece, right? That we come to. 40 years. I was married 28, so that means I knew him before I got married. Right? I was with my husband for 28 years. I knew him before I got married. I knew him since I was in my 20s. And we still friends to this day. Why? Because we understand about friendship. We understand kindness. We understand love. We understand reciprocity. We understand all those things. And I have a few other friends that fit into that category. And there's a few on the wayside, like on the side of the road, because they lack the maturity to continue on the journey with me. And it's okay. I don't love them any less. They just can't travel with me. And some of you are still traveling with people that needed to be dropped off a long time ago, which are hindering your growth. They're hindering who you could become. They're hindering you stepping into the fullness of yourself. But that's a whole nother conversation for another time. Because one thing I do is I help women create lives that feel good to live. Like good to live. You know, you hear me say some things like, I wake up when I'm done sleeping. I help my clients do that. I help my clients live a life of ease, grace, and flow. I help my clients become magnets. I help my client magnetic. I help my clients do a lot of things, but I'm also integrated in their lives, right? And I have receipts for the things that I do. This is not just, we're not here just talking. I know I may be new to you, but I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. I've been doing this work because I was called to this work, not because I saw somebody on the internet using some fancy phrases. I was called to this. I've been doing this work for over 40 years. And because I'm not glossy and flossy, sometimes we get people try to discredit people that they don't make a lot of noise. But sometimes the most rooted people are some of the best people to help you change your life. Because we not going in and out with all the trends. We just slow and steady. As slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady. That's it. Being slow and steady. And that's something that I learned in the journey of my life, right? We can tell by the fruit. My fruit is calm, is rooted, is sacred. You never hear me putting out on the internet with my breasts out and my booty out and all that, because that's not classy, y'all. That's not classy. And as quiet as it's kept, I know a lot of women don't want to care about what men want, but men don't want men like refinement and class. They'll play with the others, but they at the end of the day, when they decide to settle down and they typically choose class, they choose peace, they choose love, they choose kindness, they choose someone that wants to build with them. They choose all those things because the world is already chaotic. Who wants to come home to chaos? In a pushed up face, people want to come home to pleasantry. I know I do, and I would expect that the person that's in my life wants the same. But we got to get to a place of healing, and it really requires a major pause. Whether you in perimenopause or menopause, if you are a woman in this world, you need to pause. Pause and start to collect yourself and understand that what you are thinking is not the law. What you're thinking is not the law. And one thing I want to leave y'all with, to give you some clues as to where to start. Give you some clues as to where to start is, what was your relationship with your mother and what was your relationship with your father? And if either one of them was absent, that means that those qualities were absent. And if they were not steady, secure, and rooted, then that may be why you may have some trauma around those areas. You may have some abandonment issues. You may not even know what to do with a man because you never had one. You never seen examples. I had to really sit with that myself because I had to say, how did I get the viewpoints that I have about relationships, about men, about women and their interactions? I had to go back to my childhood. I mean, if we start looking at our childhoods, they will give us some daggone clues, major ones, as to why we may behave the way that we do right now. Did you see a healthy relationship with a man and a woman? If you haven't and you're out here giving advice based on your experiences, you may never have seen anything healthy. So you may not know what healthy looks like. You may have a skewed opinion of it. I know I grew up, I have 8 strong Black women who raised me. They were all married Black women. They were my great-grandmother, my grandmother, paternal side, first of all, my great-grandmother, my grandmother, and her sisters. The sisters, 2 sisters were not married, and 2 sisters, my grandmother and her other older sister, were married. That's all I know. My mom and dad were married, and all these marriages were death do us part, meaning I came into the world with them married and they departed when the other party died. Right? So my great-grandfather passed away before my grandmother because I cared for my great-grandmother. My father's mother passed away before my grandfather, and I was very close to her. But that's all I know. All I know and on my father's father, he got remarried, and that was another marriage death do us part. So that's really all I know. So that is my perspective. But I'm open to embracing other people's perspectives. But oftentimes when I speak, people aren't willing to embrace my perspective. There's always some sort of judgment that comes, and we have to get better at judging other people because they are not like us. When at the core of our being, when we stand butt naked in front of the mirror, we're all naked by ourselves. But we can learn from other perspectives because I've had to learn through coaching and mentoring single moms. I had to learn from coaching and mentoring, men that were gay, women that were gay, different scenarios. I've been open to understanding so that I can have a deeper understanding of humanity and the eclecticness of it. Yes, eclectic. I feel like it's eclectic. And that's a word that I identify with. So, we got to get better at understanding. I know that a lot of the trauma and the issues that are going on in the world is because a lot of people, especially like the Gen Xers, y'all opened the door, brought yourself in, and let yourself out. Y'all were latchkey kids. A lot of that generation did not have bonding with their mothers and their fathers. They have emotional avoidant issues. I have met so many Gen Xers who are emotionally avoidant. Period. And they don't even know it. And they don't even address it. They just think that their way is the best way. They don't want all that. And then they tell someone like me, I'm too sensitive because I feel. But just maybe you're too avoidant and you don't feel. And you're missing out on some amazing relationships because you do not have the capacity to feel the fullness and the depth and breadth of emotions. So let me stop there because, I start getting into neuroscience and all the things, and y'all, because I'm a deep person. I don't like surface. I don't like surface love. I don't like surface friendships. I don't like surface nothing. Do you hear me? Nothing. I like everything to be a whole daggone experience. When I eat my food, it's a whole experience. I gotta set the table. I gotta have a placemat. I gotta have all the things. Yes, I'm extra. Some people say it's extra. I just say it's just being me. And if I take it to to the astrological chart, you'll see that it's definitely me. I'm designed to be that way. So I'm gonna stop here. But kindness and love is what I want to leave you with. And if that's not something you resonate with, that's fine. I just may not be the person for you, and that's okay. And my community may not be the place for you, and that's okay. But if you're open to it and you're willing to try on some new strategies and techniques and ideas and concepts, what's your relationship with kindness and love? Is your heart open or is your heart closed? Are you scared to death of love? Are you scared to death of touch? Are you scared to death of being vulnerable? Or is that not even a part of your existence? That there will leave you some clues. My name is Thérèse Prentice. I'm a sensual living guide. I guide women to create lives that feel so good to live. And you can find me at Soluna Sanctuary, and that's with a double L, SOLLUNA, sanctuary.com. You can find anything, I'm all over the internet, Thérèse Prentice. There's a link somewhere, whether you're watching this here or somewhere else. There's a link and you can find me. I'm not hard to find. My DMs are always open. I don't do foolishness. I don't do drama. If you don't agree with me, keep it to yourself. I'm only here for the people that are open, willing, and ready to take action. And as I always say, your life is waiting. When are you going to show up? And bye for now.